So welcome to tonight's Major Works meetup. It's the rescheduled session from last week that I could unfortunately not attend. What I would like to do today, just the key themes for tonight, is introducing all of the panel members. They will introduce themselves and also how they are contributing to the project. I will then provide a Chalcots major work overview on broad timelines. We then talk through updates for the Blackfoot Tower and then updates for Bray, Burnham, Dorney and Taplow Towers. And then I think it's really important to talk through the resident considerations and how it reflects back to what we had in terms of employer requirements on behalf of residents for our contractors and how that maps out. So I wanted to give you a bit of an overview there, and with help of Una to prioritize certain elements that we're thinking of that we want to seek your view and your feedback on. I will just do this properly in terms of slideshow from the beginning. And what I suggest we do, as we said, introduction. So you all know me, I'm Astrid Shelburg-Obst. I'm the project director for the major works on the Chalcots Estate, which means that I'm the most senior person leading on both projects in terms of major works, the one for Blackfoot and the one for the Four Towers. I'm responsible for overseeing everything from procurement and now to delivery to the end of both projects being completed. This also means, whilst I am very busy on the Chalcots and want to know everything and be involved with everything, the business as usual services are being done by and delivered by the relevant teams, such as repairs, housing management, etc. I keep them informed about the project, but of course the business as usual services deal with their aspect of the service that continues, of course, on the estate. Michael, shall I hand over to you? Do you want to introduce yourself and maybe just explain your involvement in the project?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Michael Gilhooly. I'm a member of Astrid's project board, so I have a wide understanding of the works that's planned to be delivered. As I'm sure you appreciate, Astrid, in her role, which is just said, director, lead officer, is a very, very busy lady. So in my role, I support Astrid on a variety of project-related matters, give her space, I call it headspace, so that she has time to think and plan and keep what is a very, very complex project moving forward.
Thank you, Michael. Michael Colleen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I head up asset management and compliance for Camden. So once the project is over, I manage the life of the property, the assets. Camden has the Chalcots project, but beyond that, there's compliance, maintenance, and warranties, and everything about the project that needs managing thereafter for property management. Also get involved in some compliance regime regarding electrical testing, gas safety. Other areas of fire systems and electrical systems at the Chalcots, an overview, any communal heating, any plant and communal areas regarding compliance. So that's my role in this, and I've been heavily involved from the beginning with Astrid and Michael on a commercial board, and been involved in some of the procurement aspects and what we want to achieve with the project. So working closely with Astrid. So yeah. Really good project. So that's my part in this, if that makes sense to everybody.
Thank you, Michael. Una, do you want to introduce yourself and your involvement?
Okay, so I'm the advisor, and my role is very much about making sure that engagement is correct in the strategic sense, but also supporting the task and finish groups with Khalees, where she's the resident administrator there, and making sure that we bring back documents for consultation and feeding back. So very much was involved with creating the resident engagement framework. We'll now be moving on to the recruitment and setting up of the monitoring and contracting panel, and also we're doing the final work on the resident offer with Astrid and with the task and finish group and the other residents who've contributed, and that's really where we are at this minute. Okay.
Thank you, Una. Thanks everyone for the introductions. If we could put ourselves on mute if we're not talking, that'd be really helpful so that there's no echo and that we can clearly hear all that's being said in the recording as well. Thank you very much, everyone. So I will just go through the slides. Towards the end, there's one slide that I will hand over to Una. And then, of course, as always, we have the question and answer session. I thought it might be really helpful just to have a sort of an overview and a comparison with regards to the Chalcots major works, the broad timelines. So on your left-hand side, you saw this probably in the last slide deck as well in February, but it was presented slightly differently. So here it's in form of a table, and you can see alongside Blackfoot, Bray and Taplow, who are the first set of towers where this the work will be taking place, and then followed by Burnham and Dorney. So in terms of the design for each building are finalized, and that's all completed for the 4 similar towers. And for Blackfoot, this is likely to be in May and to June this year. The contractor submits their contract offer, again, because we have a construction only or build only contract for the 4 towers that has been completed. However, for Blackfoot, where we have the design and build, this will be completed in June this year. The contract is agreed and signed. So again, for Blackfoot, this will happen, that's the construction part of the contract, that will happen or is likely to happen in July 2022, but it is completed already for the 4 similar towers. Now, in terms of setting up the contractors' offices and staff welfare areas, such as toilets, changing rooms, etc., for Blackfoot, this will happen in August to September this year. For Bray and Taplow, this has already started in February and has continued through to March. And for Burnham and Dorney, we will start this in April as well. Preparing to set up the construction site, including hoarding, that's the mesh fencing. This will happen in September for Blackfoot. It is happening, as you've seen, at Bray and Taplow during March and April. And this is something that we will start for Burnham and Dorney in November to December of this calendar year. Setting up the construction site for the scaffolding. This is where we have scaffolding. This will be from September onwards for Blackfoot. And for Bray and Taplow, this will be in April. But I just want to clarify here, this is underground and probably appearing above ground, probably from May onwards. And we don't want to interfere with doing this in December with Christmas or other festivities for Burnham and Dorney. So we wait for the scaffolding setup until January of 2023. And the construction works will start, and this includes the roof replacement, the installation of the cladding, the new windows, the building maintenance unit, the insulation to the undercroft, etc. This will start in October for Blackfoot, in September to October for Bray and Taplow, and in June of 2023 for Burnham and Dorney. So I just thought, you probably recognized this from our newsletter as well, but I just thought it might be helpful just to remind ourselves what the timelines are, or the expected timelines are, in terms of moving this forward. Now for Blackfoot specifically, you're, I think, familiar with this chart. This blue line is moving more and more towards the right. We are currently in the step 3 area, which means that we're testing the REBA stage 4 designs, and the market and supply chain is being tested as well in terms of cost of what is being designed. For the moment, we are about to sign off these final designs, and then the rest of these activities will follow. So this is in line with our program and with what we anticipated for this pre-construction phase to take place. Again, for Blackfoot, I just thought it might be helpful to see what has been done recently. A number of tests have been carried out. These have been completed in February, including the humidity test, air tightness test, testing the construction approach for the through the show flat. ground radar survey, structural investigations, all of this took place, and now it's about also taking off I think of three trees on the playground and towards the bin area, just the lowest branches, so that we have enough clearance in terms of site setup, and all that was granted and approved with our tree department, and indeed it was them who carried out the work, so that we make sure it's absolutely done to the right standard and that's not any risk or danger to the trees. So a lot has happened. For the moment, with regards to all of these activities, we are evaluating the surveys that were carried out and the tests that were carried out. We're getting the show flat ready. This is probably by towards the end of April that we will be able to open it to our Blackfoot residents. We're finalizing the video that explains the step-by-step process to carry out the works, and the Muga clearance finally will be happening from the 4th of April, from next Monday. This has been slightly delayed due to administrative processes with Network Rail. We needed to make sure that we have the right approvals and that we have them in writing, etc. And that took a bit longer than expected and as planned, including with Network Rail. But we wanted to make sure that we have everything in place before we start anything. Now, the reason why we do this now is ahead of the nesting season, and also because our residents of Blackfoot quite rightly would like to make use of outdoor space. So we clear it now so that residents can use this now during the warmer months and the summer months before we have the site set up in that particular area. We're also finalizing and agreeing a few key aspects, such as the gas supply decision. We're not quite there yet. You may remember, I think it was in the January meeting, I explained that Blackfoot is unique compared to the other 4 towers where we have external gas risers. And there's a good argument to be made. It's linked to the project in that the design of the cladding system needs to accommodate these external gas risers. And this might be a good opportunity to actually change to another system than gas and to embrace this opportunity. So we're just doing a few final elements there to make sure that we have the right solution and the right solution to move this forward as part of this project. And we're also in the process of designing the resident respite facility for our Blackfoot residents. And then the other activities that are more involving our Blackfoot residents are the meet and greet sessions, which will continue on the 8th of April. The show flat viewing, we're preparing the booking system and the system to be able to come and visit the show flat. As I said, it will be towards the end of April. We're finalizing this information video, making sure it's available in a number of languages as required for our Blackfoot residents. And we are arranging a drop-in session and a virtual session for our Blackfoot residents towards the end of April. So this is really all we have in terms of update for the Blackfoot major works. For Bray, Burnham, Dorney and Taplow Towers, we have quite a lot of site activity, especially in and around Bray Tower and Taplow Tower. So the hoarding is starting to be put up. This is mesh fencing. We don't want to obstruct light and views for residents, particularly on the lower floor. So as much as we can, we do with the large mesh fencing. And this is at podium level and in the basement. And this has started indeed at Bray Tower and Taplow Tower. The forecourt is now closed at Bray to make sure that we can do the site setup as we need it to be for all of the activities that are going on and will be going on the estate. We're carrying out surveys to the basements and ground floor of each of the buildings, and this has started at Bray from Monday the 14th of March and is still continuing. At Taplow, this has started week commencing the 21st of March. At Burnham, it is starting this week, and at Dorney as well. The reason for doing this is as we do carry out the project, we want to make sure that we understand where the water comes into the undercroft and that we prevent this of continuing and deal with this as a way forward as part of the project. And the other activity that's happening, which is more about the dimensional final dimensional surveys is a drone survey for all of the 4 tower blocks, and this has more to do that all of the window openings, etc., are being remeasured, making sure that everything is exactly as we expect it to be, so that we don't have surprises when we install the new windows, the cladding, etc. For Bray, Burnham, Dorney and Taplow Towers, the priorities and the next steps are as follows. We continue the meet and greet. We have started at Burnham on Monday. Yesterday, we visited with residents at Bray, and the next ones are at Dorney on Friday and at Taplow on next Tuesday. And these are more evening sessions. The previous meet and greet was more during the day. This one is more in the afternoon and early evening. We run these sessions from 4 till 7 p.m. And we will also be running a session on a Saturday towards the end of April, so that we really talk to everyone, on all the residents on the estate, to make sure we pick up on any concerns, any questions, and make sure we can provide those relevant answers and reassurances. The scaffolding will start in the basement of Bray and Taplow in April. As I mentioned earlier, above ground it will appear sometime in May, but we need to get, of course, the propping up underneath absolutely right. The show flat is being prepared, which is located on the ground floor at Taplow, and we're preparing the method of works video so that there is no misunderstanding as to how the works will be carried out, the level of disruption. It's going to be a very honest piece of work to make sure it's understood how we intend to carry out the works in each home. Particularly, we have 2 types of windows. We have those with the lowered windowsill and those with the windowsill as it is for the moment, and the approach to the work for each of them is slightly different. And we just want to get across exactly what it means for each resident in their home. And then, of course, the tests and surveys we carry out for the moment, we need to assess what it tells us and tweak where necessary, maybe some final details of fixings or whatever it might be, so that we get things absolutely right. So these are the key priorities really for April, the coming months. Of course, and I think this was really the key driver in the way that we carried out the procurement for both projects. It's the resident consideration. And I just thought I'd share with you the initial observations of what I can see and hear as well on the ground. Really important to remember is that the contractor's commitments and actions need to reflect the employer's requirements. This is what we set out when we went out to market to identify the right contractors. And I will come back to that slide just to highlight for everyone how this is moving forward. And I think it would be a good idea to continue to keep that alive and to feed back to you what it looks like. I have to say the initial observations seem positive. Both contractors on Blackfoot and the 4 towers seem to proactively embrace expectations and feedback. I think it's understandable that there are learning points. People come from different sites where expectations might have been slightly different, come to our estate where we have very clear expectations, and it takes a bit of time to settle. And there's a journey to do this, which is absolutely understandable. But I think broadly speaking, anything that has been raised or is being highlighted is genuinely being embraced. An example of this, it's probably because we work for longer now with the contractor who is at Blackfoot. And a typical example would be initially we had to insist quite a lot. Please tell us, whatever you do, what does it mean for residents? What does it mean in terms of noise? Maybe what can be seen on the estate? Will there be an area that might be obstructed in terms of passage or access or anything like that? And really now we don't need to ask this anymore. It just comes as a matter of course. We instruct or give permission for a particular survey, and straight away with the request of the survey we get all the details about the dates, about the impact on residents, etc. And that's really where we want this to be, and it's really promising to see how the contractors take these on board. So as I said, the early observations are positive. There seems to be positive commitment in terms of embracing these elements. Just from sort of probably a summary view, to me, each time I'm on site, and I'm on site both at Blackfoot and particularly for the moment for the 4 towers, I'm probably on site 2 to 3 times a week. I don't particularly say when I come to site, and each time I see the site in a tidy and really clean appearance. There seems to be a lot of consideration in terms of noise, trying to minimize noise where at all possible. And this is sometimes difficult for the moment where we do these more intrusive surveys in the basements. But overall, it's tried to keep it to a minimum, and also to make sure it's only within certain time frames and not across the day and early hours or late hours. Communication with the project team is good. We know what's happening. We know when it's happening. We are being updated, so that's positive. And also to embrace and engage with residents through the meet and greet, I feel is very positive as well, that both contractors make the effort to introduce themselves to every single resident. So I will just highlight, you may recognize the next slide, which I shared with you previously. It is the one, and apologies, it's in quite small writing, but I will walk you through it. This is when we developed a good year ago what it means and what is important for residents that we want for the contractor to adhere to and to be committed to. And we had those requests that emerged over conversations over the past 2 years, which is sort of the first colored column. We had the procurement task and finish group priorities, which is the second colored column. Then we had the input from our resident procurement panel, and then through further discussions, that's the last column. And in red, I've highlighted all of those things that I can already see happening or are being embraced. So of course, as you know, residents were part of the procurement process. The site looks tidy. There's absolute compliance with specifications because we are purchasing materials, so we get to see everything and sign off everything, so we know it's complying with specification. And the material that is being purchased is of quality that we expect and that we specified. We are preparing furnished flats as a home away from home for those residents where the work takes place in their home, so that if they choose to, they can move out whilst the works are happening. It's not an obligation, not at all, it's just an offer, and that's being prepared. Regular newsletters updating you on what's happening in great detail. Our virtual meeting, we have the monthly. Microsites are being prepared by the contractors, which are specific web pages dedicated to the projects. The resident liaison is happening in terms of the introductions to the contractor through the meet and greet. And of course, as we committed to, and as it was always a plea from residents, is to have a show flat with the new windows so that residents can exactly see what they're going to have in their home, including in terms of the quality standard. And of course, alongside, we prepare these illustrations and infographic videos to explain exactly the method of work, how it's going to be done. And it will be different between Blackfoot and the 4 towers. Staff entering homes are DBS checked, and they will have a card to demonstrate this. Tidy communal areas. So far, what I've seen seems to be absolutely in line with that. Honest information when something takes longer or may not be quite starting at the time and day as said. That is definitely a key element, and working with residents, particularly when it comes to meeting every single resident and working out the approach to the works for every single home and household. And this is already being programmed. It hasn't started yet in terms of activity, but this is fully understood by both contractors that this is in partnership with our residents. And then I think the other elements are the priority of lift usage by residents, and indeed both contractors will try absolutely not to use the lift in each of the buildings, and will do things more from the outside of the building. But if and when necessary, our residents will have priority in terms of lift usage. And then it's setting up a workspace, a quiet workspace, particularly for those residents who work from home, and also a quiet space where our children, young adults who may sit exams, that they have a space that they can just be shielded from noise and be able to study and not being disrupted by noise. So all of these elements are in the pipeline, if not already being observed. So I just wanted to highlight this, and I think it might be helpful if we keep this slide alive, and also highlight when we see something that is not in line with this, and of course pick it up. But we will bring this slide back on a regular basis. I also thought I'd give you a quick update on the initial meet and greet outcome. And this is really recent resident feedback. This is the first sort of tranche of meet and greet that we've done from middle of February to the middle of March this year, together with the resident liaison officers of both contractors. So this is a read across Blackfoot and the 4 similar towers. So we've engaged with 296 households. That's 42% out of all of the residents on the Chalcots Estate. You will have spotted that there are more households or more properties than households in terms of the figure here. We have a total of 717 flats, but there are a number of flats that are empty, partially as well because we have test flats. So we have currently 702 households on our estate. Out of the 296, we have 244 residents who were positive about the major works and are happy that the works are starting. So that's 82% of all those that we engaged with. Out of the 296 households, we had 136 residents who engaged with us and who raised queries and concerns. And I just wanted to share with you what the key queries and concerns were. Of course, the level of disruption. People want to really know what it means in their home and how to organize themselves, and we fully understand that, and we're working on getting this information to every single resident in quite great detail. And we do, of course, because it will be different for Blackfoot, we do a dedicated piece of work for our Blackfoot residents and a dedicated piece of work for our Bray, Burnham, Dorney and Taplow residents. But just to say, 38 residents asked about the level of disruption, so that's 28% of the households that we engaged with. The queries about timelines is another one that is really important. People want to be able to plan ahead. So of course that's understandable. So that was 18% of those that had queries and concerns. So 25 residents who raised the timelines as a query. We also identified 11 residents who are in need of obtaining information in a translated version. And as I mentioned earlier, the videos that we will be preparing will absolutely, we will make sure that they are being translated in the relevant languages. We will also make sure, we fully appreciate not everybody has online facility. So we will have the videos recorded on our laptops and tablets. And when we visit residents, we can show them exactly what it looks like. So everybody will be able to see what the show flat will look like through virtual tour, and the level of disruption in terms of method of works we will show as well. And there were concerns that were raised as well. So that these were 28 residents, which was relevant to repair and antisocial behavior. And I will hand over now to Una, if that's all right. So this is more what Una was referring to in terms of task and finish group and TRA input on the resident offer. Una, thank you, over to you.
All right, okay, so this is a bit of a follow on. Yeah, I did start touching on it. So one of the key things at the moment is the resident offer that Astrid's mentioned that we've been all working on. That there's been input there from the TRA chairs. They have a meeting once a month with Astrid, so that happens there. Then we've also got our task and finish groups, and I just mentioning task and finish groups, just want to make it clear that membership to join the task and finish group is open to every resident who lives on the Chalcots. And it might be that people now think we're at an exciting stage where actual things are really happening, that maybe it's a good opportunity. They might think, but actually, do you know what? I now would like to become and join the task and finish. That's really simple. Just email Astrid or myself or Cleese and what you call it, and you'll be on the list. Now, the members that join that, you don't have to belong to anything in particular. You'll be joining as an individual to give your own views and contribute in that way. So, and we would really welcome that. And we'll also put something, we'll ask Astrid whether something can go in the next newsletter as well, because I think we just need to refresh it. It's not a secret group, it's nothing separate, but I must say that when people apply, and their contact details, etc., we cannot share that. Not unless people explicitly say we can share, and we've asked that, we can't do that. So, but please do think about joining, because actually it is really good. And our next, whilst I'm on that, our next meeting is on next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and that meeting is for residents only. So it's that opportunity for that safe place to have that conversation. And we will be looking at the updated residents offer, but we'll also be looking at the surveys, draft surveys that we want to send out regarding estate improvements and engagement. So hopefully you will join us on that. So, on the residents offer, as Astrid said, a lot of it was in the original contract details about what the employer must offer, but a lot of this now is about what Camden are offering and making sure that you are protected. So the first one we've got here is about offer to escape from disruption and noise, and this is in the offer as well. So it's about opportunity. We must remember, these are ideas and thoughts. They're not set in stone, and Astrid is always welcoming your views and ideas. So we need to think about that. So we've got, if you go in the top one on the offer to escape, we've got 7 points. So the first one is about furnished and equipped home away from home flat, and that's where you can go while the works are taking place. The actual details of how that works, about how it's booked, etc., that will all come later. And then the provision of respite areas, breakout lounge to get away, the provision of a business suite for home workers. And I think where we're seeing with COVID is still sort of numbers are increasing, and they're saying about jabs again. So it looks like we're probably in that where officers will be limiting again people going back. So, and then offering noise cancellation headsets. I hope they're smart, Astrid, so people can have those. Then about setting up some social events so that there can be some activities going on, like coffee mornings and things like that, so that people can attend that whilst things are happening in their home. And then the designated library space for studying, etc. And then discounted or free access to the cinema, the zoo, or whatever. So it's about offering. So actually, I'd be really interested to know, out of those 7, which ones would be your top 3 that you think are really important, that we should be building a bit more on? Chalcots, any views?
I don't actually have any views. I'm just, you put me on the spot.
I'll put you on the spot. Okay.
If I can jump in here. Hello, it's Roger.
Hello, Roger.
Hi, Roger.
Hello. I'll put myself on video just so you can say hello. Having the joy of being in the flat above where the show flat is going, I'm enjoying the noise of the drilling already. So I would like to stress the noise cancelling headsets. As we know, drilling into this concrete building is very, very noisy and unpleasant and disconcerting. So I would make that a priority.
Is there any chance, Astrid, that we could get for Roger now and he can pilot and,
Absolutely.
and the noise cancelling headsets? Because that would be really interesting to see their work.
More than happy to, and getting Roger's feedback how effective they are. Definitely. Let's get the ball rolling.
Great, happy to oblige.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay. Anything else on there? What about the business? Well, if you're working from home, Roger, would a business suite being able to go somewhere else be important, or is it just about knocking out the sound that you'll be able to work?
It's a lovely idea. The thing is, I'm surrounded by my computers and files and things at home, so upping and going away, yeah, it wouldn't be that convenient.
No. Okay. All right. So anyway, we've got them there, but so if you have a think about it, and then you can always email us and tell us if there's something you don't like there, or we've got something missing. Is there something missing that we ought to be offering?
I think Stan has his hand up as well.
I can't see because
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stan.
Thank you. Can I just say I like the idea of quiet library space, and I think it'd be really, really good to ensure that youngsters can do their homework.
That's a really good point. We're even exploring the idea of running homework clubs for our children.
Yeah. So that's something that might be good ongoing as well. But certainly space for the youngsters to do their homework is an excellent idea, I think.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next one, which is and this as well is covered in the offer, is about health and well-being. And because we do know it's really works and the stress of everything is going to affect people. It's going to affect you all. So it's about free access to the local gym and leisure centre. We've still got to be confirmed, Astrid. Do we know where we are with that? Is it about?
Actually, we are thinking of setting up a fitness centre in one of the basements for easy access, just dedicated to our residents.
Okay. So then you'd have to have a proper trained person there at all times, wouldn't you?
Correct, absolutely. But it is about, and also leaving as afterwards.
Legacy, yeah.
Yeah. And the idea is to probably set this up in 2 tower blocks, but for the usage across the estate, starting with setting this up in a tower block that is not in the first phase of the works, and then having it set up in one where the work is done. So again, it helps with getting away from the noise, as we do this in 2 phases, the first 2 towers and then the second set of towers. So there would be, we would leave behind 2 gyms on the estate, which would be absolutely fine. But this is a thought. Instead of having people going to neighboring facilities, we are thinking of setting it up on the estate, if that would be something that residents would prefer.
Well, all these items will be in our survey that's going out, Astrid, so we'll be able to get a feel about numbers, because it's it's about it's great if 2 or 3 people want something, but we've got to make sure we're reaching out to as far as we can people.
Absolutely. Okay. And I just described that there are 2 options of doing this, to allow for residents to have their own space and to get away from noise.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next one is about access to mental health support networks. Well, I know some initial work has been started on that, but I think that's really important, and we need to remember that that support will need to start well before the works, and also through and recovery afterwards. Then I know Roger's going to be very excited about this one. It's the Clean Air Initiative, and that's linking up with the voluntary sector, but also looking about finding out about the car charging points and walking hubs, etc. I think it's particularly the car charging points, isn't it, Roger? that you're very keen on. But
Yes,
so,
anticipation of one day getting an electric car.
oh, I thought you'd already. Oh no, yours is a hybrid at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, there again, it's about what will be the uptake. But it might be you can't be on the electric cars. We can't just go about how many people have got electric cars at the moment. We've got to think about the future, isn't it? So how is this going to change over the next 10 years or whatever? And you know, if energy prices keep going up, you know, it cost me 160 odd pound to fill my car up last week. I think that electric car is going to be a priority. Okay.
If I may just add here, I'm in touch with a charity working on clean air initiatives, and they're very keen to help us. And maybe I just do the connection with the Task and Finish group. Yeah. Because actually they're offering to talk to residents to myth bust about electric cars as well, because this is the future as well. It's to make sure we do our part in terms of where people can make the right choices in terms of their decisions with regards to cars going on forward. And with that as well, it's about understanding then the appetite for this, and then the potential volume and how it could grow over time, and how we can accommodate this in our undercrofts. So there's quite a piece of work, and somebody reached out, and we engaged, and I'm more than happy to create that link so that the discussions can be held directly with residents, how best to shape this and bring this forward.
Okay. And then the next one is about other resident initiatives about, well, that would fit in with your gym, won't it?
Precisely.
Healthy cooking, that could be interesting. So yes, but they're all the things that we're going to try and pick up under the Task and Finish to actually see what residents really want, because they need to be led by the residents. And then the recreation and seating area on the lawn south to each tower block. I suppose, Astrid, my only question on that would be the consultation, because there may be fears that creating something like that might create hubs for people you might not want to be gathering there. So perhaps you can tell us how that's come about.
I think this was feedback from residents, especially with COVID, feeling a bit trapped in their homes and wanting to benefit more from the outdoor space. Mm-hmm. Now, let's not forget, all of this, what's on this page are thoughts and ideas, and I absolutely welcome and embrace to do this properly and to seek feedback from residents through the survey. And I'm so grateful that the Task and Finish group is willing to lead on this, so that we really get the feedback from all residents and know actually what matters and how we can shape this best to cater to, you know, the needs and the priorities for our residents. These are just thoughts on the page for the moment, but it's to make sure we hone in on the right elements, and also getting to know, did we miss something? Is there something else that might be really important to residents?
Okay, has anybody got any points to make on the 1 to 5 on the health and well-being?
I think Caris and Khalees has her hand up too. Yes, Caris.
You're on mute. You're on mute. Can you? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Listen, I'm a bit worried about my sister, actually, who suffers with MS.
Yeah.
And she's bedridden. She has carers coming in every day, and I need to actually organize something for, you know, if obviously she would, I think it'd be very difficult to move her from the flat.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do. I'm going to be coming to London in April and spending a few days to see what how things can be organized.
Caris, what I suggest we do is we meet. I walk you through the intent, how the works are to be carried out, and we find a solution together.
Okay.
We, you know, we don't have to do all the. We will be flexible because we will be working with residents, and if there's a view that maybe we should do one room and then give a break and then do another room to allow time maybe to accommodate or whatever it might be, we'll do it. It's not a problem.
Okay.
We will certainly make sure it works for residents. Of course, there isn't a timeline attached to it, but we can work around it and we can find solutions, most definitely.
Okay.
So, Karis, if I think I gave you my email address last time,
Yes,
didn't
I have
I?
your email. Yes.
Please do contact me, and I'm more than happy. We'll meet and we'll talk through the
Lovely.
individual needs. It's not a problem at all. We'll find a solution together.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please.
Yeah. Where's the breakout lounge going to be?
So the intention is to have the breakout lounges where the works do not happen. And I'm so pleased. I met with the Dorney TRA, and they absolutely offered their lawn space towards Adelaide Road for one of these breakout lounges during the time that the works take place at Bray and Taplow. I'm due to engage with the TRA at Burnham to have a similar plea and hope that this will be accepted as well. So once then the works are completed at Bray and Taplow, these lounges, breakout lounges, would be moved to the areas where the work is completed so that it is away from the noise, and therefore residents of Dorney and of Burnham will have the same benefit of having a breakout area that is further afield from the noise that is happening on their site. That's the intention.
That sounds very good. So the Dorney one,
I can hear little Daniel. Sorry.
Sorry, I would say that the Dorney one would be good for Bray residents, only because of obviously travelling. So what happens if the King at Burnham doesn't accept one to be put on Burnham?
I think we will find a solution. I've spotted a space near Burnham that could be used as well.
Okay, but they're definitely not going to be in the basement.
No.
Okay.
We will keep. You remember we did one in the basement of Bray just as a sort of a pilot and trying to find resident feedback about it. We keep it for a facility that could be accessible by residents, but the priority is to be away from the noise, above ground. That was loud and clear from the feedback from residents, and that's what we're going to make sure we put in place.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, so any more points anybody's got? Anybody got a hand up? I can't see. So Astrid, can you see?
No, I can't see hands up. I was just wondering, what would be the views on the priorities on the second section? I think we heard loud and clear the initial priorities for the first part on the offer to escape from disruption and noise, but health and well-being, anyone wants to just highlight what they feel the priority would be?
I think, Astrid, we need to provide more information about mental health support, what it actually means, because I think there may be people who won't even think that they need that, and they might need it. So I think there's a bit more, isn't there?
Yeah, we're devising a clear process and what's on offer. That's being developed. It's too soon to share it here, but any thoughts about it, anything that residents may want to feed back to say, well, actually, I think there is really an issue with this or with this or with this, would be incredibly helpful whilst we shape this. So maybe as part of the survey, we could maybe glean a bit more information how we can really tailor this to the needs of our residents.
And I think would be really helpful, Roger. You've mentioned you're having the one at Taplow done, and the effect you're having. So we'd be really interested in your feedback about. Yes, you've mentioned about noise, but is there anything else? Is the length of time for the noise great, or whatever? I think people would be really interested to hear your feedback, so that we can use that to really understand whether that makes maybe some people think about whether they do want this home away from home or whatever as well. Okay.
I'll try and keep some sort of diary or log of when the noisy periods are. It tends to be for an intense period of, say, between 10 minutes and an hour, and then nothing for the rest of the day so far, but obviously it'll vary.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting how long have they been in there, Roger?
It started yesterday.
All right, so it's what's going to be, what, about 7 days, is it, Astrid, is it, or?
No, they will replace the windows as well. It will be much more than that. It's not just 7 days. It will be probably for the best part of April.
Oh, joy.
I'm sorry. Yes, Roger.
And Roger, I think that you know, probably, you know, the scaffolding will start. You know, they have to fix the scaffolding to the building, so it'll be interesting to see what feedback you got.
Absolutely. Yep.
The scaffolding will be above ground
Yeah,
from
yeah.
May onwards.
Yeah,
It'll
still be noisy, I think.
Oh yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, any feedback, anything, you know, also if work start before you would expect them to start in terms of noisy work, anything in terms of feedback that you feel actually this is too much, it's unreasonable, or anything along those lines. I can't promise we can deal with this, but we need to know about it. That'd be incredibly helpful.
I think especially about where there's peak times, like Roger is saying,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
there's
right.
an hour or whatever, and people to know that sort of window, because that will be where they'll be thinking about, well, am I off to the gym, or am I going to the zoo, or what am I doing? You know, to be able to manage and live with that as well. Okay.
Absolutely, and it's trying to put it into a schedule so you know when it's coming and you can plan ahead and maybe find alternatives. That's precisely the point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was there anything, Michael, you wanted to add? Were you just saying so?
I agree, Una. I just think that it's great that Roger will take a bit of a survey forward for us. It's important that we have input from residents.
Okay. What we'll do is I'll send you the draft survey so that we'll take to the meeting that the residents then will look at, and they will amend or whatever. So we'll get to the final one to go out. Okay. And the exciting bit is, Astrid has said, I can offer the shopping vouchers again. So everybody will be wanting to complete their survey form for us. Anyway, okay, thanks.
Michael Colleen, you have your hand up as well.
Oh, hi, Astrid. I just wanted to input on health and wellbeing. I know I've been involved in the project with you, Astrid, but brilliant presentation. It's covered so many aspects, but I just wanted to input. It says seating area on the north and south to each tower block. I'd just like to say, you know, if there's an option for maybe a bit of work as a legacy from the contractors, or maybe me and yourself get together and say, what can we leave as a gift to the residents, but not south facing, but sometimes southwest, or a location on the plot or the surrounding area. Sometimes you get a design of seating area that can't be damaged, and a design of where it captures the whole day and the evening sometimes, and different options. So I'd like, if it's okay, I'd just like to reference the fact that if you're going to leave any sort of legacy recreation for residents on the land around the Chalcot Towers, I'd like to give me advice on that, because there's so many options. It'd be fantastic.
Absolutely, and this is all part of the social value for our contractors. They will have to provide, and this is where we want to have the priorities from our residents, precisely as we just said. I think this is something that will evolve during the works. You're absolutely right, Michael. And if this is one of the points already that we can do to help during the works, and that will be left as a legacy, 100%. If we can do that, that'd be fantastic, and we can involve our designers, etc., to really see what would be the residents' preference, wish, what would it look like. And us being involved, of course, with the contractor in terms of making sure it's being delivered. Absolutely, I really welcome that. I already talked to the contractors about helping with the allotment areas, donating plants and soil and what have you, now that the growing season starts. And the good thing is, with the scaffolding, we will not obstruct the allotment area. Very different to last time. We learned from last time. We will do this differently. Residents will keep access to the allotment area. So yes, there are loads of opportunities, and we just need to understand what the residents' priorities are and then deliver.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll feed back from the task and finish when we've got our information, and then the residents I'll ask the residents to feedback on that.
And I'm really grateful for that. And thank you to all residents who will be involved in this really important piece. And I think the next slide is just to let you know the next major works meetup is on the 28th of April at 7 o'clock. By that time, we should have a more or less complete Camden project team. So I just think it's really important for me to introduce you to all of the team members, which we will do next time. As usual, there will be a major works update. We will update about the show flat and the resident consideration. So again, probably having the result of the survey and Roger's pilot about the headsets to hear how all that works. So we'll play back and update accordingly as well. And of course, respite areas as well. We'll have probably more design ideas, etc. by that stage. So yeah, it's a continuation of pretty much what we discussed today. And I hope that's helpful. So I'll stop now with the presentation. A huge thank you to everyone. And I will stop the recording. Just bear with me. And then we can do questions and answers. So we'll